By the summer of 1846, war between the United States and Mexico was in motion. Both nations were mobilizing armies and laying plans to determine the fate of the continent. 009. The U.S. seized the initiative, moving quickly to claim large Western territories and press its advantage inside Mexican lands. 015. In this video, we'll track the events of the first months of the war as American forces rushed to make significant gains before Mexico could muster the leadership of Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna. 0.22 Domestic reactions to war. When war was declared, it sparked a wave of national pride in America. Newspapers blared the war drums. The American public heard about the Thornton Affair, a border incident the U.S. used to justify its position. 033. But there was also dissent. Many in the Whig Party questioned the conflict, arguing it wasn't defensive, but a land grab. They feared expanding territory would empower slavery in the U.S. Widow 41 within President James K. Polk's own circle there was unease. Secretary of State James Buchanan warned that the president's territorial ambitions could spark war with Britain or France, but Polk pushed ahead anyway. 048. Initial strategies against Mexico. Polk initially wanted Major General Winfield Scott to lead the campaign, but early U.S. victories under Zachary Taylor at Palo Alto and Resaca de la Palma convinced Polk to hand Taylor command of the Northern Front. 058. The war would be fought on multiple fronts. Taylor was to take northern Mexico and force Mexico's government toward surrender. Meanwhile, a smaller force under Colonel Stephen Kearny moved into New Mexico and California, securing the U.S. western flank. 111 taking California, then Mexican-controlled Alta California, had a sparse population. American settlers and adventurers like John C. Fremont had already begun challenging Mexican control. In March 1846, the Mexican governor ordered Fremont out. Tensions rose, and by June, American settlers launched the Bear Flag Revolt. 124. On June 8, 1846, the revolt erupted. With U.S. naval forces sitting offshore, Commodore John D. Sloat assumed war had begun and landed in Monterey, declaring California U.S. territory before formally any declaration of war. 136. This bold move started the war in California with minimal bloodshed but maximum strategic effect. 143. Manpower and preparation in the U.S. Back in the U.S., President Polk got Congress to raise 50,000 volunteers in June-July 1846. These citizen soldiers came from across the Midwest and South, often enlisting with friends or neighbors and electing their own officers, which boosted morale but sometimes undermined discipline. 155. The professional U.S. Army, meanwhile, brought a major artillery advantage. Their flying artillery, lightweight guns moved rapidly by horse, gave them a key battlefield edge. 207. Mexico's forces and leadership. Mexico had larger troop numbers on paper, but many soldiers were poorly equipped conscripts. Santa Anna only reached the front in late September 1846, too late to stop the early U.S. advances. Mexico's leadership, logistics, and supply systems were strained from the start. 219. Women known as soldaderas accompanied the Mexican army, a group of Irish Catholic deserters known as the St. Patrick's Battalion fought for Mexico, motivated by shared faith and resentment of U.S. discrimination. 231. The capturing of Monterrey. In July, Taylor crossed the Rio Grande into Mexico. By September, he laid siege to Monterrey. U.S. forces assaulted key forts on Federación Hill and El Diablo, taking the city through brutal urban combat on September 23, 24. 244. Taylor accepted a brief armistice that angered Washington. Officials believed Taylor could have pressed the attack and crippled the Mexican army entirely. 252. On September 30th, the Mexican forces withdrew. Though a victory for the U.S., Monterrey revealed just how tough the war between neighbors would become. 3. Santa Anna was still gathering forces. The campaigns in New Mexico and California were intensifying, and the U.S. Navy was preparing a major invasion via the Gulf Coast. 308. Conclusion. The first months of the Mexican-American War show how bold strategy, volunteer armies, and early American momentum shaped a conflict that would transform the continent. The war was only beginning, and the full cost and consequence were yet to come.